siuq
uungutiingartneriltum
ja uungutiitanka
ja Roland Killerkuam William kidik nani yuurtellripanek maallu qaftin Qalarrluni qanraarteqarkut
ja maaikuani 1950 naami yuurtellruungakka mannahuani kusquqimillaa nuppaunaku yuutlukani huatn cav'urluteng luneqsuquluteng livvaartaunani
I maaikuani qaftin Qalarrluni ummiaqlerpanek nallanriitlerpanek
75 ariunerqa
yuhtunlutaliatrna qanrut
Callerkuaq
ja I ayagatullermeggnek qaallunna jalleaqraallerpanek jaliqanraarteqarkut
agayuvigmi hiltussaarullruug agayuvigmi qasaatistaqorla ayagiornullu imkun young people leaderaarulla kinngookullu council-aani IRA Council tammaani 43 tammaakun sayagilo una council-aani allerkuutiulqataqsuunani mattumillu yuppimtni niqankuta yuusimtni nuttanallerkun tamaanatsali nalufknaak ukutlutali elitnaullrunrilnge'rmi-llu anguyagtem federal territorial Alaska taumtali allerkutai murillkluuk elitnauaqlorlimkunka allerkut kilisingallaan tangupakuluk tamaakkunak
maaikuani ernerpak mannakuani yuguniguanku arenqiallugutfut taangaqqa qaillunna imumi ayuqutillra maitjali mamterillermi huallununaani ayuqsaaqoq umgumaaluni kidukka qanrutqerru qaillna ayuqllra maillu jangallerrullra
1930 morkun qatnaakaataqaarrallaamigun niitellruunga tangarlukuullu mattum taangam piluuku toalkingookun niitellruungatali taangakun-llu akultuluuni allrakkoon pingaatqu talittaam kingoonakuttuoqqaluku yukum taliniitellrullaa uppunerkami suppellrani tattailngunk kiagummainallerals nataqnatu takmavtaanllaaqal tappaqnayukuluta toittaaku taangam piqaarraallerk toosmaakkunayaguluni uqaqfanek pinertuqquq tukaaqapigluteng toimaku tannigarulut ikinqallranilluarinut tankanupkannullaat najuqleruluut maallnuttaan mattumiqernemtni nuttanassit qappiaqaluni huinga allinganiuruloilliini qavaallerta makuttuani ayagiot arenqiallat
qaillunquani allerqayugngasikut tamaatum tungiinun qaillunlu ikayuryugngallerminek tamaatum gnaulluutellermik
makuttuani arenqiallugutet naulluutleret Juan naruqtagumtium kenka talistoi angtoomratunguatanangerorpaknaki tagum chakaanirpaknakuqaten nutemlarmiyuuyaram nikenka aqukutiulam tapitiqiaqqat tamaanattua perriqapiarciigaluciatnek illatthoni ilaalinrit najuqluteng pilartat Talikhoten qalarrutaqqauluki unguallerkaita numni pianak Qalarrluni Yuuti.
mai khani unakhani naulluutlik khatn qanraqan toiten kuitaqsugiaqsraanga khuingamriumirutsaaqa illaitni khatn kiularaaput tohin qulariaqkum kunna niitsuneritlalleratn qaillunilpatamaana alqqiungats taqaillunna kiulallerkamtnek tauna toatn piuqtaqsraa
tauna tootn piuqtaqsraqanllertarukluku pinarqsraago satillait taangalarto tamaana taqsaraq pitsiulukakortoquluku tawwamai illatkhani taqsiigat mattungaarlikahalam tribal court-akun tallianq toilliini nainaarulartu tannigarulut tawwam huangutakootam tkun talliaqluki asiiqqappiarlasiklukuhi tawwam imkutsali litnaawayaagat watnangtallit quyuitattoovtit husugungaan katamgaaqarlik pifknaaki Qalarrluni tamagkutiulam tapitseriaqrait ukuttarkunang taurimna 20 years all tauna ahkutun mikillingurtun talliaqnaqanneritoqquangani tooni yuhtarmi qanerstaurim tauqam pinarqillra tookun takmut uittasingaunakaaqayukul tapikum maiman tanguvalal nallunnerit qaatull qallu qannerutiksugngaq
awai qanertutun khanimakut mikilnguut qallu ayagiot akkun qaneruyutnek niitlaarlertnek qanerutlarniluki kitak qaneruyutnek tamakun niitlaarlertnek taikanneeriqqa
huatn najuuquq tunneramma niiskiu aatanaanallu niisingakak unguannortut tammai tamaana ahkunun anginnerilunqunun qanneruyut talikhuatn qannerulluuku inertaraq kiskan tassaq tamukuniskat unaahuqqani unnuum qukallan kingo huangkutajuujaram unnuum huqqukallran kingoanin liiraqaami aftattoruyuk taarkaurlunit taummiuqqaqamna nammunittarkaurluni taarkaittuarkaurluni unnuum qukallan kingoan tammai tamaakut ahkutiulamta tamaanatsali qannerutkellerat
jamjali artaqalraamik ispatta qaneriyullerpanek алерқуутмуллиук инерқуутмуллиук халлуттуаи кангута питериарамтник юппигни аваани тиуқфаллаат питериараат канихуа талиқаннерут канериуллерпник канера
аваани тиулам питериараатни тамук питтайтллук таугам qarsagimik тоони qarsagimi qalaarutlallhuitkut tauwam tali nammunitqaqaama waavat nangertulluunga qanlerartanqelartumaakun ukuyuquluq taapirulormik pilla waakulluttaituuyaraamak natat hunamlirsiiganaa tanqersiiganaatal maaikhuani qalaarutillermik anguugnernerta Juani hoqattoqanam anguugnernerta tamaatu
Siin tamaanattuatn piuga
tam aanutum piulliniqakka tammaak najakuluni uatn alerquut makut yuppim qankualerquutpuk yuinnaat qulun allrakut tipluki Jimmy kliinernerpliiunani neppaitnam ktagum qaneqayugngaluun neppaitnam uyugni inerqayugngaluki saalikhot nunaaxaat angaayoqanqtullruliiniluteng taanermagattau timuayuuqutirtuqtak toittaa natannerpaktin pitaali tamarmung nunaaxaat taangilarlruungorfiimuun waanillunapaskiag nunaaxaat makutajallepitaat nunnigayappat
Awaitali qanertutna ayagiot qaneruyutnek niitnanrirniluki qan makut pinrirniluki tiinna tamanatuatn piuga
tootn piungan mattum khoni state patu qattaaku tuanguta qatn qaingiqaluta qanguta khoni ayagunillrukut mattum aprumallaamukki yuppikniisen nutumsarmriuyaaraamukki pilarqa taunattai khoni aggum qanerriugngaaq atannaanallunniisingakak ummionsluatorpiq nakuyuugi maai khoni kayuuringoqquangani asiiriuq waaniakkiatsoormi tamarriarperluiyaaqq toaltaunu Willie tannigaaquluulleranat natqliqsistain pitaat kliken makuunek tali qanguta qanerriaram Qallerkuut pitatnillu pitaatain council-aanqarta taukut huingaummiama pungartinnerikkafattoon tauwam taliagrianigaanoqnerlu elitnaullrunrilnge'rmi-llu unguayaaranek amleqqani unguayaaraqqa tali paiftimaksaitaq
ta agungpaqnayungartstavnga arrianik anoqneklu unguayaaraq kilikka
aukuqqani nallunneritqappearaan kanuuqtstaaman neqqnguut neqat aggiirutsaattukut hunkiagmi nallunneritannика neqqsortuaatullraa mikuurarkautsaatlu nallufkunaak anuuqqaattautirinneqqaitoq unaakoq kanaawaq manerriaqsartuten kngaitit toit aukut aggiatlupakut murillknarqut pikaanillamqukkaani Qalarrluni-Yuut tassamak uipukuunqat Qalarrluni ingenernerqtaaqqagu qaat aruulaikkan taamaqqagu aggiarmajurtiquq kiimiangennerulun tanneqigtsnaat qenneret qamurruluki tukkiskunilltaaqennertallaat toittaunarkutiullam tapqingiarraat amsipinaariniillu kutassaitlerraunglu tassanik taangaksaitlerra pik talikkuatn qaammalqtaaqun aneqliarkaulut aneqminataalut tooklu aneqlingeran pairluku agriaraanaaqan tooknanuuqnarkaulu makut mai imkutsaayan tastaanik pilaaqait neqnerlissingallerit qanguta tamaakkuilngamtallissingaaput neqsortuaatullraamukkinarlinnerita unneganilltali uitaqallertali taqeranniqulutenga nallufknaak nalluunaanat arkunuktaaya elitnaullrunrilnge'rmi elitnaullrunrilnge'rmi uppenerkamitsalaneqlertuarqami neqnektaitiniilalluat toarkutavaai murillklerit sammattu murillklerasirtuq sammata
Kamkasaam qanerikuut fallta qanerkaaras
quyaaqapigtoqatta ilagaqayumilariaqam sikhatn mattukunnutumlerkun 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% Pilaallu imumlu pim kittul Twitter riinnarullruiaqangattumaan loqsailamapik saita.
Willie, Willie, what's your view on the unification issue?
The unification issue has been a topic of discussion on ABCP's convention, I would guess, for the last 4 to 5 years. I think it has made a slow progress, but nevertheless it takes time to work on issues of relevance that affect the whole region. Just recently, prior to the convention, we had what we call a unification forum meeting in Aacungaq, where the regional nonprofits were invited. And at that time, we discussed with nunamcluchti, snalliulriit, YKHC, ABCP, and Yupik Nation about the unification process that ABCP has undertaken based upon the directions that they received from Qipnaq's convention resolution. At that time, we also understand that not many of the people in the villages really understood what the unification meant. The unification that we're talking about is the development of a regional tribal government. So at the recommendations at the Aacungaq Forum meeting was that the nonprofits each adopt a supporting resolution in concept. And we did receive a commitment from the organizations that were represented there. I believe one of the things that this convention will talk about how to select people to sit on what it's called a constitutional committee. The constitutional committee's task would be to review how the other indigenous people in the United States, for that matter the whole world, organize under their own types of government. As I stated earlier, not everybody understands the tribal government issues. So one of the tasks of this committee would be to educate the people. By that, I mean they will be traveling to regional centers to conduct series of public meetings to get people to understand and up to speed of what we would like to achieve under the unification plan. I think one important thing about the unification plan is that the organizations and their boards are not the individuals and the authority to develop this government. Ultimately, the people in the villages, those that have the voting rights, would be the ones to vote on the issue and then proceed with the development of a government.
Do you think you're going to see a lot of support after this unification report?
I believe so. Based on some of the comments that I heard, there's still a lot of questions that needs to be brought out and answered, and we had a little bit of taste of that yesterday when I gave the Yupik Nation report. I think especially the elders have already understood the concept, but it's for some of the comments that I've heard from the elders is that these young people that are bilingual aren't too sure whether to go with the old ways or the new ways. I think in developing a regional government under the unification process, both the old ways and the new ways need to be incorporated so that whatever comes about would best represent the people and work for the people.
One other question. Yeah.
I don't think ABCP is boycotting not to rejoin AFN, and it's on the agenda. I think what AVCP wants is true representation of our desires if we are to go back to AFN. And I think using the example of the 1991 process, AVCP had some specific issues that we wanted AFN to address, but on the 11th hour, our concerns weren't heard, and for that reason, we did not go back to AFN, among others, but that was the primary reason. I think if AVCP is to rejoin AFN, the AVCP leadership needs to sit down with AFN leadership and discuss how representation would have to occur, and AVCP needs to be involved in such a statewide organization.
Do you have any additional comments you want to make?
I guess as far as the convention here, the 25th annual convention of AVCP, this I view as a turning point where our people are beginning to understand that we need to work together as a united group of villages. Whatever form the unification comes out of, we need to support it individually and organizationally in order for it to succeed for our desires.
Kuyama.
Kuyana.
Ikayuryugnganiluki. Oh, you made it on time, Edo.